Today we are going to discuss the physics paper 1 from January 2022 R paper. So let's begin. The first question says Bismuth 207 is a gamma emitter and is represented by the symbol. So how many neutrons are in the nucleus of an atom of bismuth? So we know that the neutron number is the mass number minus the proton number. So it should be 207 minus 83, which is equivalent of 124. So that means the answer should be B. Okay. The next question says, which of these gives the best description of the gamma radiation? A helium nucleus? No, because a helium nucleus is basically alpha particle. A high energy electron? No. Number C, a high frequency electromagnetic wave? Yeah, this is a high frequency electromagnetic wave. So from the electromagnetic spectrum, we came to know that gamma radiation or gamma ray is basically a electromagnetic radiation. So the answer should be C here. Okay. So the next question says a technician uses this method to investigate the penetration power of the gamma radiation. So place gamma emitter source at a fixed distance from a radiation detector. Measure the count using the detector. Okay. So measuring the count, I'm marking this one. For a period of 1 minute, place a thin sheet of lead between the source and the detector. Measure the new count using the detector for a period of 1 minute. Increase the number of lead sheets, okay, between the source and the detector, and repeat the process. So the table gives some of the variables from the technician's method. So what you need to do is you need to identify the independent, dependent, and the control variable. So we know what is independent variable. Independent variable is a variable which the experimenter changes. Okay, so if the one who is doing the investigation, if the one who is doing the investigation changes any variable, that is called the independent variable. So in this case, what we are doing is that we are increasing the number of lead sheets. That means we are changing the number of lead sheets and keeping them in between the source and the detector. So that means the independent variable here will be the number of lead sheets. Okay, so as we are changing the numbers of lead sheets, so what are we going to see? So since the lead sheet is placed between the source, it's been placed between the source and the detector, so that means uh, the changes will be in the count rate, right? So the count rate will be the dependent variable here. Okay, so what else do you need to keep as a control variable? Okay, so what we can consider, the distance between the source and the detector, yeah, that needs to be kept constant. So that will be the constant variable, that should be the control variable. And the time period for measuring the count, that one also needs to be unchanged. So we need to consider this one as a control variable as well. Okay. Now, question number two, the X-rays and gamma rays are examples of ionizing radiation. Which one of these is another example of ionizing radiation? Okay, so what do we know from here is that the radiations which will cause to remove the electron from any atom is basically an ionizing radiation. Now, radio wave, microwave, infrared, we know that these are electromagnetic radiations and these are not ionizing radiations. So that means the answer should be D here, the ultraviolet radiation. Okay. The next question says, give one use of X-ray and one use of gamma ray. These are very common questions that usually come in the IGCSE Edexcel exams. So you guys need to memorize the answers here. So one of the common use of X-rays is taking photos, or basically finding the internal structure of any object, right? So you can say finding internal structure of any object. Okay, internal structure of any object, or you can also mention like to find out the, or to detect the broken bones, okay, which is very common. Then what are the uses of gamma ray? So gamma rays are used to irradiate the food, or that's basically used in radiotherapy, or one of the common uses sterilizing medical equipment. So I'm choosing sterilizing the medical equipments. Okay. State the formula of speed, frequency, and wavelength of a wave. So we know that this is v is equal to f lambda, or you can say the wave speed is equal to frequency into wavelength. Okay. Now the next question says calculate the wavelength of gamma ray with the frequency of 2.8 into 10 to the power 19 hertz. So we know that what is the equation? Wavelength v is equal to, or basically wave speed is equal to f lambda. Okay, so since this is electromagnetic wave, so that means the wave speed should be 3 into 10 to the power 8 should be equal to frequency is 2.8 into 10 to the power 19 multiplied by the wavelength, which is lambda. So that means lambda should be equal to 3.3 into 10 to the power 8 divided by 2.8 into 10 to the power 19. Okay, so if you divide that, then the answer that you will get should be equivalent of 1.07 into 10 to the power minus 11. Okay, so finally you can round it up and write 1.1 into 10 to the power minus 11. This should be the answer here. Now the next question says X-ray and gamma rays are electromagnetic wave. Which of these graphs is correct for waves traveling at a constant speed? Okay, so we know that according to the equation v is equal to f lambda. So if you keep the wave as constant, that means if this wave is constant, then we can say constant is equal to frequency into lambda. That means lambda is equal to 1 over frequency into constant. So that means wavelength and frequency is showing an inversely proportional relationship, right? So if the wavelength increases, then the frequency will decrease. So which of these options are showing that they are showing an inverse proportional relationship while the wave traveling at a constant speed? The answer must be B. Okay, so that would be all for today. If you want further explanations of the coming questions, please let me know at the comment section below. Thank you very much for having. Assalamu alaikum.